It's the World Cup of World Cups, episode 12, Spain, 1982.
Sunday, 13th of June, 1982. Fahd bin Abdulaziz Al Saud becomes King of Saudi Arabia. E.T. hits cinema screens in the US and the Falklands War is drawing to a close. Meanwhile, in Barcelona, it's all kicking off.
Welcome to the Eagle's Nest with me, Eagle's Chest. It's like that, is it?
Let's gunge someone.
Well, there's something dodgy in this group because Germany beat Austria. Now, we're not saying that Austria let Germany beat them.
We are going to say that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I am going to say that because I think that's exactly what happened.
Bananas for the header beast.
That's fantastic. I'm going to start using that. That's going to be a heckle put down from now on.
Presumably they thought he'd be like some kind of spy.
Didier 6. It sounds like a freedom group, the Didier 6.
Free the Didier 6.
He looks like he's been running while being electrocuted.
Hola y benvinguts al podcast de la Copa del Monde de Copa del Monde, episodi 12, España 1982. Em dic Diego Quiña y unir mi como siempre es Pablo Salvatge. Hola Pablo, ¿cómo estás?
¿Cómo está? Bueno, gracias.
Now you're speaking Spanish there, Paul. I wasn't. I was speaking Catalan.
I think you'll find that it was very close.
Don't say that to any Catalans, will you?
I did it yesterday. I offended a Catalan by trying to speak Spanish to them.
And that is why you're the most cancelled comedian in Edinburgh. Because it's all starting in Barcelona, and we've done Spanish a whole bunch of times. Also joining us on the World Cup of World Cups is a comedian and actor who can be seen at comedy clubs around the UK and in the Slightly About Football film Looking for Eric. He supports Manchester United, and he cosplayed as Leopold Luque on Michael McIntyre's Comedy Roadshow. It's Mick Ferry.
Hello. You all right? Hola.
Thank you so much for joining us to talk about the 1982 World Cup.
Thank you for asking me to take part in a discussion about possibly the greatest World Cup of all time.
Well, what is it about 1982 that you think makes it the greatest of all time?
First of all, the greatest Brazil team never to win a World Cup. Didn't even make it to the semi-finals. The 4 European teams that didn't make the semi-final, I've never seen it so close in terms of actual ability. The standard was phenomenal. And there was genuine superstars of the game. The weather was glorious, even here in England. Watching it was absolutely beautiful. I remember the summer was absolutely stunning. England had the best kit they've ever had in their entire existence, even better than Peru's kit at that time. I remember the 78 World Cup. I just about remember it. I was able to stay up late for a few games. The 82 World Cup was perfect. The kick-off times were ideal. Evening time and a bit later on, you could watch them. And they had tea time ones, so we'd bunk off school early so we could get home, make sure we could see them. Even had probably the shittest mascot ever, which was an orange.
Yeah, shall we talk a little bit about the mascot? The mascot was called Naranjito.
It's shit, isn't it?
It's shit. We need a mascot. Look around the room. What have we got?
Yeah, exactly. Didn't we have the bulldog mascot at the time? Ourselves.
Yes.
I used to be able to draw that as well off by heart, but we had this bulldog mascot. I think also as well, it was the best England song of all time. World Cup song.
Oh, that's really not saying a lot.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Hang on. You're saying it's better than the two that got to number one in the charts?
I tell you, yes. But I'll tell you what was great about it. So the 78 World Cup, I mean, I was at school, I was still at junior school, and Scotland had told us they were going to win it. They actually convinced us and actually sung a song where they were going to win it and bring home the World Cup. And as per usual, they didn't make it out of the group stage. So you had England there, you had Northern Ireland there, and you had Scotland. It was just Wales that were let down. World-class players. Look at the Brazil team. Eder, Falcao, Socrates, Zico. You had Boniek, who played for Poland, who would be a superstar in today's terms. I mean, Poland had a very good team at the time as well. But the West German team, Litbarski, Rummenigge up front, who probably created the way modern-day centre-forwards play. Paul Breitner playing for them.
Paul loves Paul Breitner.
Right. Is it because of the hair?
It's not the hair, the eyes.
Bright eyes, burning like fire.
He was an amazing footballer. And then you had that French team as well, which is, I mean, who should have won the World Cup that year, but were destroyed in the semi-final, but physically more than actually in terms of the game. They had players like Platini, Didier 6, players like that. So he was just a standard player. There was superstars everywhere. And a young Maradona for Argentina. A lot of people forget that Gentili of Italy kicked Maradona out of the tournament.
He did, and we will talk all about that
Right.
as we go through the story of the 1982
Yes.
World Cup. Before we get into that, I have to give the answer to the teaser from the last episode when I asked Dick Naninga was the first substitute to score in a World Cup final. Name the 3 players who've done it since.
That's a good question.
I know you like a pub quiz, Mick. So, do
Yes, I know. This is one that you'd think I'd know, but I don't.
you want some clues?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
What happens in this World Cup?
The last goal for Italy, was that from their sub?
Yeah,
And that was...
Altobelli.
That's right,
Alessandro
yes.
Altobelli
Altobelli.
in '82.
Yeah.
Rudy Voller in 1986.
Oh, yes, against Argentina. Right.
And the other player to score as a substitute in the World Cup final was also German. That was Mario Götze in 2014. So Spain are hosting. They won the bid unopposed 16 years previously. This is the longest notice period any nation has ever had. But thanks to João Havelange, the new president of FIFA, the World Cup is now 24 teams big. And that was how he got Africa and Asia to vote for him to become the president.
Good, though, because the 16 teams was too small for you just leaving out some amazing players for no real reason.
109 teams enter qualifying for 22 spaces, and there are 2 places each for Africa, Asia/Oceania, and CONCACAF.
Honduras, CONCACAF, New Zealand's Asia/Australasia, Kuwait, and Algeria.
El Salvador as well.
Oh, right, okay.
The other CONCACAF, and Cameroon was the other African.
Cameroon, right.
Yeah, it was big news that Mexico didn't make it through because Mexico always make it through from CONCACAF and they somehow messed it up.
Yes, Mexico are in a slump at the moment. UEFA has 33 teams going for 13 spaces, and for some reason they decide to divide them up into 6 groups of 5 and 1 group of 3. Ireland beat France but miss out on goal difference. Wales miss out on goal difference because they drew at home to Iceland. But England, for the first time since 1962, have qualified for a World Cup, even though they lost 3 games, including away to Norway. Why was that game notable?
Because of the commentary afterwards when he went through every famous British person he could think of and was yelling, "Your boys took one hell of a beating."
Can you name any of the people that he name checks? He name checks 8 English people.
Winston Churchill,
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher,
Yep.
Paul McCartney?
Yes.
No, not Paul McCartney.
I thought he'd name check the Beatles, did he not?
No.
Charles Dickens?
No.
One is
William
really weird.
Shakespeare.
Quite a few of them are really weird. One is a newspaper editor who was born in Canada.
Go on, who are the 8?
They are, in order, Lord Nelson, Lord
Yeah.
Beaverbrook,
Right,
Sir Winston Churchill, Sir Anthony Eden, Clement Attlee,
yeah.
and then quick turn, Henry Cooper. Then Lady Diana,
Oh, no way.
and then Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, wow.
Lord Nelson, Lord Beaverbrook, Sir Winston Churchill, Sir Anthony Eden, Clement Attlee, Henry Cooper, Lady Diana, Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, your boys took a hell of a beating. Your boys took a hell of a beating.
Henry Cooper, the only one to appear on Blankety Blank and in this.
Good fact. The name of the commentator was Bjorge Lilalian. So we're going to say hello to Algeria, Honduras, Cameroon, Kuwait and New Zealand. New Zealand who beat Fiji 13-0 in qualifying.
Close.
Which is then a World Cup record.
Fiji had just been beaten 11-0 by Australia, and their goal difference for that group was minus 27.
Preston-born Steve Sumner scores 6 in that game, which was also a record.
Well, they broke a bunch of records, that New Zealand qualification team, because I think they did something like 55,000 miles of travelling to get to all of their games because the group was massive. And the goalkeeper did something like 921 minutes without letting in a goal.
And that goalkeeper's name was Richard Wilson.
I don't believe it.
Oh, no.
Right, we've got that out of your system. He doesn't play in the World Cup. They drop him.
Wow.
Even though he's got that record.
Rude.
Harsh. We welcome back Northern Ireland for the first time since 1958, and Belgium, England, USSR, El Salvador and Czechoslovakia, who haven't been seen since 1970. We will also say goodbye to El Salvador and Kuwait.
But very noticeable fact about why Northern Ireland's appearing there caused such a stir, because of one player became the youngest player to play in the World Cup finals. That was Norman Whiteside, beating Pele's record by something like 100 days or 101 days or something.
He's 17 years, 41 days when he plays. He's also the youngest player to get booked in a World Cup because he gets booked in his first game.
Do you know what, as well? They were making unfair comparisons to him and Pele, the world's press, because of his age. I mean, completely different player. And I'm not saying this because I'm biased as a United fan, but Norman Whiteside, sadly, at the age of 15, had a knee operation that was botched. And when he was 15, he could do 100 metres in 10 and a half seconds. So imagine Norman Whiteside with pace. I mean, he had everything else going for him. First touch, control, passing ability, shooting, good on the air. But with pace, he would have only been one of the best players in the world.
Sadly, he had to retire at age of 26 due to injury.
Yeah.
Went on to become a podiatrist.
That's right.
There is a load of players from that era who are just... The medical things nowadays would have them back with playing within 6 months, but then it was a write-off your careers. The videos of Colin Bell trying to get back into recovery, running on hard things, and you're just going, you've already destroyed your knee ligaments. This is going to do nothing.
Alan Shearer was probably started just about the right start at the time, because remember he went and had that amazing surgery in America where they were using, was it muscle from a horse or something like that in his knees or something, using some other kind of sinew. For something else, but it revolutionised the game. This was a guy who was saving all the NFL players from the knee injuries. But the cruise ship then at the time was like 18 months, you're right. But now everybody's back after about 3 months, aren't they now, after a cruise ship? They seem to be back really pretty quickly. Yeah.
Notable absentees, the finalists from the last two World Cups, the Netherlands, they're knocked out by Belgium and France. The aforementioned perennially terrible Mexico. 2 times winners Uruguay, the Copa America champions Paraguay, and the AFCON winners Ghana. None of them are there. You mentioned the songs, England, this time more than any other time.
This time.
Yeah.
We're going to find a way to get away this time.
This time, more than any other time, this time, we're gonna find a way to get away this time.
I love how they're saying more than any other time. It's like, you've won it. How can it be more than that? We're getting into the era now where football records start coming thick and fast, and mostly thick. Scotland released a couple of songs. There's We Have a Dream by John Gordon Sinclair and B.A. Robertson, which is, it's kind of nice. It's like, it's about John Gordon Sinclair having a dream that he plays for Scotland and scoring a penalty. They also have a song.
If you're going to dream that you're going to score from open play. I have a dream that the ball gets lofted in and I score an overhead kick. I can't do that. I could probably score a penalty.
The Crankies release a song called We're Going to Spain, which is as dreadful as it sounds.
We're going to Spain to follow Sandy. We packed our bags, we're on our way.
Andy Cameron, who had the hit with Ali's Army in 1978, he tries to recapture the success and money from that by releasing a song called We're on the March Again, which bizarrely name-checks Jimmy Savile.
'Cause Jimmy Savile said he'd fix it for them to qualify.
That's it as well. Yeah.
Northern Ireland release a single with Dana. The song is called Your Man.
When your man gets the ball, Northern Ireland has it all. Oh, we're off to Spain, never mind the rain. When your man gets the ball.
The problem is there's 2 Danas from Eurovision. There's Dana, the singer from Ireland in the 70s, and then there's Dana International, who was the transgender person in the
from Israel,
thousands from Israel. And I've now got a picture of her doing it with the Northern Ireland team.
That'd be good.
All the songs that are released are all about going to Spain and showing everyone how good we are at football.
Yeah.
And could have all have been written by the same AI software. The ITV theme tune is by Jeff Wayne off of War of the Worlds and goes really big on the panpipes. And for some reason, the BBC theme is Jellicle Cats from the musical Cats.
You'd have thought they'd have gone for some Spanish kind of influenced tune, but not.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
We've got a new format. So we've got 6 groups of 4. The top 2 will go into 4 groups of 3, and then those group winners will play semi-finals and a final. So there are 10 groups in this World Cup. This is the most groups in any World Cup until 2026. Do you remember the World Cup draw from 1982?
I remember at the time not understanding the second bit. There was loads of things mentioned at the time, which I basically just lost track of. And then was just interested in England's group, the first group we were in, which was France, Czechoslovakia and Kuwait, that's right. Yes, because we won all 3 games. And then the second group, we just didn't score.
Well, the draw is notable because they get it completely wrong when they're doing the draw. FIFA forget that Italy aren't in South America and erroneously assign Belgium to their group and then Scotland to play Argentina, which they didn't want to happen because the Falkland War was still going on. So they had to take the balls back in, let's do it again properly.
Would you believe the World Cup has started with a fundamental error? They might very well have to do a redraw right from the start.
Because they're using like big lottery cages to spin the balls round. One of those breaks, and then the little footballs that have got the slips of paper with the teams on them inside the cage start falling apart. It's just
it's chaos.
A catastrophe.
It's almost like FIFA are very bad at organising football.
Yeah, next thing they'll be putting a tournament on in the middle of a desert.
The opening game takes place in Group 3. It's Argentina versus Belgium. Argentina are more or less the 1978 team, plus the world's most expensive player, Diego Maradona. And after 4 consecutive 0-0s in opening games, a goal!
Huzzah!
Hey! After 62 minutes, Irvin Vandenberg scores for Belgium. Maradona then hits the bar about 10 minutes later, but it finishes 1-0 to Belgium, so it's a bit of a shock to start with. In the other game in this group, El Salvador, who only have a squad of 20, score their first and only World Cup goal by Luis Ramirez Zapata, who's nicknamed El Pele.
That's the game when they were beat 10-1.
Yes, that's right. Unfortunately, Hungary scored 10. Here they come now for the El Salvadorian defender. It is
there's some bangers of the goals in those. It's not like they scored easy goals. Some of those Hungarian goals are really good.
If you score 10 goals, some of them will be good. It's just the law of averages. It is the first and only time a team has scored double figures at World Cup. Laszlo Kiss comes off the bench and scores a hat-trick in 7 minutes to be the first substitute to score a hat-trick at the World Cup. Laszlo Kiss, of course, is one of 2 things that Prince wants to see when he goes to watch football. He wants extra time and your kiss.
Okay.
It's really terrible that in my notes there is also a Kiss, do a Prince joke.
In their next game, Hungary lose 4-1 to Argentina. Maradona scores 2 and runs the show. Ozzy Ardiles also scores, and his goal follows the world's most ineffectual defensive header. The defender falls over, heads the ball when it's like a foot off the ground, and it goes about a yard. What are you doing? El Salvador tighten up against Belgium, only losing 1-0. Ludo Koech scores the goal, but it is a beauty. In December 1985, he dies when his BMW crashes into the central reservation on a Belgian motorway. I have become obsessed with how footballers die.
Yeah, occasionally we do get a bit morbid on this.
It's like we're still in lockdown. If that's how you're whiling your days.
Oh, a whole bunch of them die of COVID as well. Other results have happened. Argentina beat El Salvador 2-0, and it means that Hungary, who have scored 12 goals and have a goal difference of +6, are out. It is the most goals scored by a team knocked out in the first round in World Cup history. There are some good nicknames in the El Salvador squad. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, please.
Miguel Diaz, the defender, is nicknamed La Ardilla. That's the squirrel. They had to keep him away from Jose Luis Munguia, the goalkeeper, who's nicknamed Al Halson, the falcon.
Oh, right, I thought it was going to be the other way round, where he was going to be
nuts.
The bag of nuts.
Yeah, I thought that was
the acorn.
It was called the nut.
Joaquin Ventura is nicknamed La Muerta.
The Death.
I don't know why he's nicknamed the Death. After football, he becomes a fitness instructor and an English teacher.
Oh, nice.
Who have you got for English this year? The Death. And Magico Gonzalez, whose name is Magico,
That's a fantastic name.
Maradona said he was without doubt one of the greatest 10 players I ever saw play.
Wow.
And, Maradona saw Terry Fenwick. So
Yeah.
Magico Gonzalez played for Cadiz in Spain, but would often go out partying. So they put him on a pay-to-play contract to try and get him to show up. In the Belgium squad, their goalkeeper, Jean-Marie Pfaff, is a bit of a character. Between games, a Belgian radio commentator pushes Pfaff into the swimming pool at a hotel pool party, but Pfaff couldn't swim, so has to be rescued. Then Pfaff tells the media, no, actually, I was only pretending to drown. In their game against Hungary, Pfaff accidentally hits his own captain, Eric Gerrits, and knocks him out. They call an ambulance, but it doesn't arrive until the end of the game. And when Gerrits tries to get in, he can't because Pfaff is already in there complaining that he's hurt his shoulder.
When I hit you really hard, that hurt my hand and arm and shoulder.
Pfaff had also called the police because he saw an intruder in his teammate Rennie Verheyen's room. It turned out to be Rennie Verheyen's wife. All of this means that after the first round, Pfaff is dropped. He comes back in 1986, and in the noughties, he becomes Belgium's answer to Ozzy Osbourne because they make a reality show about his family called De Pfaffs.
I wonder, it can't be where that northern term comes around for faffing around, can it? I mean, it'd be wonderful if it was named after him. Yeah, just faffing about.
In Group 1, we've got Cameroon, Italy, Peru and Poland. 5 of the 6 games are draws. But then Poland beat Peru 5-1. So Poland win that group because they're the only team who've won a game. Smolarek scores. His son is called Eusebius.
Oh, I was hoping he was going to be called even smaller Erek.
In that game, Guillermo La Rosa, Peruvian centre-forward nicknamed the Tank because he was a big old unit, he scores the last Peruvian World Cup goal for 36 years. Peru are managed by Tim.
Tim?
Just one name, Tim.
From accounts.
It's called Tim. Yeah, Tim from accounts manages Peru. This is why they got beat. Their squad includes Cesar Cueta, who's nicknamed El Poeta de la Zerda.
The poetic zebra.
The poetic left foot.
Right. Okay.
Juan Carlos Oblitas, who's nicknamed El Ciego.
The cigarette.
Which means the blind one.
What?
We've got a blind one and a left-footed poet. No wonder we lost 5-1.
Is he the goalkeeper?
No, he's a winger.
The blind one.
I don't know if they had to put a bell in the ball or anything like that. Geronimo Barbadillo. Fantastic name.
That might be our best name yet. That's
wow.
Brilliant.
What a name. That sounds like a revolutionary.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Well, he was a right winger. So, different kind of revolution.
Okay.
He was nicknamed Patrulla, which means patrol, because of his resemblance to Link Hayes in the Mod Squad.
Link. That's trip, man.
Cops. 1 white, 1 black, 1 blonde. The Mod Squad.
That's niche.
All of this means Poland are through, and then who's going to come second? Well, there are 2 teams who've drawn all their games, and they're Italy and Cameroon. But because Italy have scored 1 more goal, Italy go through and Cameroon are out without losing a game and only conceding 1 goal.
Oh, so they drew their others 0-0?
Italy drew 2 games 1-1, and Cameroon only drew 1 game 1-1.
Oh,
wow.
So Cameroon are out. They have Jean-Pierre Tokoto in midfield, who plays for Philadelphia Fever. Recurring theme, North American teams that are named after things that could kill you.
Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
The San Jose Earthquake.
The Earthquakes, yes.
Philadelphia Fever, so also sounds like an Elton John record. And they're notable because he's the only player at this World Cup, and I think possibly the first player at any World Cup who plays for an indoor soccer team.
Oh, wow.
What? He must have shit himself when he saw a pitch.
What's that up there? That's the sky, mate.
Where are the walls? What can we play off?
So Italy are through, and they are, of the 12 teams that qualify for the second round, they are the 12th best.
Because they had some problems, didn't they? Because their squad was really depleted because they'd had a match-fixing scandal in the, 79?
It hadn't
They'd
been
lost.
as bad as all of that. They had lost a couple of players, most notably Paolo Rossi, their star
Rossi.
striker, had been banned for 2 years, and he'd only just come back for Juventus for the last 3 games of the season.
Yes, it was a bit of a redemption story, wasn't it, with Paolo Rossi? Yeah. What's amazing about that is they've done it again since. I mean,
Always just before Italy win a major tournament.
It's one of those lucky match-fixing scandals.
yeah.
The Totteneri scandal, it's called. Enzo Bearzot enforces a what's it called? The code of silence.
Omerta.
Omerta. Yeah.
From the squad. Only Dino Zoff talks to the press and does it in one-word answers. They set up a very much it's them against the world mentality, but they haven't won a game and yet are still in the second round. Hey, have you ever played a board game? You have? Then you'll love my book, 101 Board Games to Play Before You Die. I look at the board games that we've loved, hated, and thrown across the room in a fit of rage. I'll tell you which classic games are not worth the time and emotional torment, and which games you should be playing instead, as well as giving you advice on how to make your dinner parties more tolerable and how to pimp your Scrabble. The perfect gift for your nerdy friend, it's available from 101boardgames.com. That's 101boardgames.com. In Group 2, the European champions West Germany are joined by Algeria, Austria and Chile. And in the first game, Algeria beat West Germany 2-1.
2-1, yeah.
It's great.
But there's something dodgy in this group because Germany beat Austria. Now, we're not saying that Austria let Germany beat them.
We are going to say that.
Oh, we are.
But I am going to say that because I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So Algeria are the first African country to beat a European team and the first African team to win 2 games at a World Cup because they also beat Chile. Algeria's first goal against Germany is scored by Rabah Madja, who goes on to score for Porto in the 1987 European Cup final with a back heel. A goal that Pele said was nearly the best he'd ever seen.
Nearly the best.
Oh.
He says the only thing wrong with it is that when he back heels it, he looks behind him. He said if he hadn't looked behind him, if it had been a no-look back heel, it would have been the best goal he'd ever seen.
Like a superhero walking away from an explosion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't look behind you. Wow.
Laka Baloumi, who scores the winner against West Germany, the most capped Algerian. In 1985, he broke his leg, which meant he missed the chance to join Juventus.
Oh, poor man.
However, his teammate Hossein Yahi in 1990 got to sign for Linfield. So, wow. Chile do nothing in this World Cup, but there are quite a few characters in their squad. Would you like to hear about them?
Oh, yes, please.
Elias Figueroa, the sweeper, is nicknamed Don Elias. He was South American Player of the Year in 1974, 1975, and 1976. He thought about standing against Sepp Blatter in 2011 as an anti-corruption candidate, but then mysteriously didn't.
Paid off.
And then moved to a bigger house.
That's fantastic.
Went on a few holidays to Switzerland.
There's Carlos Cochelli, their forward. When he played in the 1974 World Cup, he was sent off. In this World Cup, he misses a penalty. There is Eduardo Bonvalle, a defensive midfielder. Very much in the Roy Keane mould, in that after football, he becomes an outspoken football commentator known for his catchphrases. Would you like to know some of his catchphrases?
Yes, please.
React, dumbass.
Okay.
That's one. Dumbass to the max.
Right.
Unmotherfuckerize yourself.
That's fantastic. I'm going to start using that. That's going to be a heckle put down from now on.
I would love to hear these being screamed at. Jamie Carragher and just being like, motherfuckerize yourself.
They have to eat meat.
What?
I don't know, they're not playing tough enough or something.
Right, okay, yeah.
You got feed your strikers.
Raw meat. And also, you must be either a monk, a fakir, or a warrior, or you will simply get confused.
What the
is he playing Dungeons and Dragons? He's just like, select your character.
Well, these are the 3 types of footballer. You can be a monk, who's like very peaceful and gets on with it. There's a fakir who's like magic, or there's a warrior who's all like shouting and running around and tackling and that. or you'll get confused. You've got to pick which one of those you are.
Yeah, because sometimes I've been confused.
So we've got three of us. Which one's who?
I mean, I'll be the monk.
I'll be the magician. I'll be the fakir. Yeah.
You're the warrior, then, Savage.
It's in the name.
It's confusing though, because I could walk on a pitch and forget that I'm a fakir and just become a monk.
Then you have to unmother.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna have to eat some meat. That guy sounds like he's mentally ill.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he was. He nicknamed himself El Guru.
Oh, yes, please.
Carlos Caselli, who missed the penalty and had been sent off, he had a fist fight with him. I mean, you'll never guess where. In an ice cream shop in Santiago. And then, because I had
two ex-footballers and Tutti Frutti going frying. That's lovely.
Also in the Chile squad, there's one more. Patricio Yanez, who gives his name to an obscene gesture in Chile. During the Roberto Rojas incident, which we will talk more about in the 1990 episode, he performs a gesture to the Brazilian fans by holding his genitals with both of his hands, with his middle body slightly bent towards the front in an act of sexual intercourse. Chilean TV captured him doing that.
Yeah.
And so in Chile, it is known as Pato Yanez. Whenever anyone does that, grabs their genitals and simulates intercourse, it's known as a Pato Yanez after that footballer.
Fantastic.
Oh, and Miguel Angel Gamboa, who's the current manager of the Easter Island football team.
They got a football team.
Yeah, very good at heading, I should think.
Yay, I was going to go out down that road and I thought, no.
Austria beat Chile thanks to a goal from Walter Schachner, whose nickname is Choco. But don't worry, he's white. It's because he likes chocolate. That's why he's got that nickname.
Right, okay.
Good.
He started his career playing for a team called Alpine Donowitz, which just sounds like the world's best Jewish skier. Who's that coming down the hill? It's Alpine Donowitz. Rummenigge scores a hat-trick as West Germany beat Chile.
One of those Rummenigge goals is apps. I mean, there's a bunch of really good goals just in group games that are...
Yes, it's phenomenal, yeah.
Every goal in this World Cup is better than any goal scored before about 1962.
Well, they were still playing with their Adidas Tango, the España ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been an Adidas Tango at a few World Cups, but it's still the greatest ball ever. And everybody remembers the fiasco, the state of the ball in the 2010 World Cup, where there wasn't
the Jubilani.
Yeah, there wasn't one goal scored from outside the area, I don't think, in the entire tournament. Because
it was basically a flyaway.
So, yeah, quality ball. Boots were changing, the way boots were made, yeah. Pitches were good. Pitches were immaculate, actually.
The only bit that's on the pitches that looks like it's bad is that loads of them, they chucked paper onto the pitch because of the ticker tape celebration type things.
Yeah, they were mimicking what had happened 4 years previously.
Now, because the final group games aren't played at the same time, it all comes down to Gijon, where West Germany need a win and Austria need to not lose by 3 for them both to qualify.
Yeah, and it's 2-0. Perfect.
It's only 1-0.
Oh, 1-0.
Only one. Horst Trubesch scores the goal after 11 minutes, and then everyone just kind of stops.
And they're literally passing it around in triangles between them, like the two centre-backs. And there are Algerian fans in the stadium booing and waving money at the Austrians to say the thing. Austrian fans are yelling, because in the last World Cup, Austria and West Germany had such an amazing game. They were expecting a repeat of that it had been back and forth. It was 3-2, and they were expecting them to try, and no one tried. And so one of the newspapers the next day reported it in the crime section because they were just so And
I remember the scandal at the time. It was a scandal. It was so blatant. How there was no serious investigation afterwards, and people didn't pay a price for that, because it was obvious for the world to see. It was played out in front of the world. It was as bad as Argentina beating Peru 6-0 in the previous World Cup after the Peruvian Minister of Agriculture had been seen leaving the embassy with a new deal from Argentina.
Well, FIFA say no rules were broken because there was no evidence of any money changing hands or anything. So there was nothing they could do.
There was no money changing.
But it's still clearly match fixing.
They decided to do each other a favour, didn't they? That was it. And it was embarrassing.
The game is known as either the Disgrace of Gijon, Nichtangriffspakt von Gijon, which means the non-aggression pact of Gijon. Some people call it the Anschluss game. Eberhard Stankeck, the commentator on West German TV, refuses to speak during the second half. He's so disgusted. Austrian commentator Robert Seeger told viewers on Austrian TV to stop watching it. The Spanish crowd start shouting "Qui se besen," which means "let them kiss." The French coach Michel Hidalgo suggests that they should win the Nobel Peace Prize.
They're very good at the put-downs then, weren't they?
The West German team were pelted by eggs on their way back to their hotel. The players retaliated with water balloons. How? How did they get water balloons?
What were they filled with?
Well, let's hope water. After this, FIFA changed the rules so that the final group games have to happen at the same time.
Right,
Which is one good thing to come of it. There are a couple of players who look like they might be trying. Schachner looks like he might be trying. Horst Hrubesch, the goal scorer, looks like he might be trying. He is known as Das Kopfball Ungeheuer, the header beast.
Oh, that's exceptional.
He has a very good relationship with the fullback Manfred Kaltz, whose crosses are known as Bananenflanken because they curve like a banana. And Hrubesch once described his relationship with Kaltz as Manny Banana, I head goal.
Bananas for the header beast.
Not very poetic.
So despite winning 2 out of their 3 games, Algeria are out.
Absolute travesty, that.
Their co-manager, Rashid Mekloufi, is a national hero in Algeria. He was one of 10 players who abandoned France in 1958 during the Algerian War to go and set up the forerunner of the Algerian national side.
Oh, nice.
And he had like a good chance of being in the French team in 1958 as well. When that happened, it highlighted what was actually going on in the war to the French public. 4 years later, he signs for Saint-Etienne, and he's worried that he's going to get an adverse reaction from the crowd. But first time he gets the ball, crowd goes mad, cheers for him.
Oh,
wow.
And in 1968, when Saint-Etienne win the French Cup, Charles de Gaulle hands him the trophy, saying, "You are France."
Oh.
I hope he replied by saying, "No, I'm Algeria." That was what that was all about.
Yeah.
Group 4, the Olympic champions Czechoslovakia, the Asian champions Kuwait, France and England. England have a secret weapon in this group. That's right. The scorer of the winning goal in that year's European Cup final and first Aston Villa player to be in an England World Cup squad.
Williams prepared to adventure down the left. There's a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he must be! And it is! Peter With!
Peter With. And every time I see that goal in that European Cup final, I still think he's about to miss it. It still looks like he's going to miss.
Well, Ron Greenwood clearly agreed with you because he never picks him.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we had a striker crisis in that tournament. We took Kevin Keegan, who was injured. We took Trevor Brooking, who was injured. They weren't fully fit. It was ridiculous. I mean, we had Paul Mariner up front, but...
Tony Woodcock and Trevor Francis were there.
The Kevin Keegan fact that I've been trying to do for about 5 weeks that you said to wait and do it as a teaser. So, Kevin Keegan was born at home, but he wasn't born in his mum's house. He was born at his auntie's house. Would you like to tell me why they moved his mum to his auntie's house to give birth?
Because she lived in a maternity ward.
No.
Oh, did she live in England and the other lived in Wales or something like that?
No. It's ridiculous for how late it is, because he would have been born sometime in the 50s, I guess.
Because they had electricity?
It is correct, Mick. Mick is correct. The auntie's house had electricity, and Kevin Keegan's mum and dad did not have electricity.
Good for them. Work of the devil.
Wow.
Isn't that mad?
Other non-playing members of the England squad, Ray Clements, who holds the record for the most clean sheets ever by any goalkeeper, but never played in a World Cup. Also, not playing, Viv Anderson,
who's England's first black player.
Got his first cap in 1978, I think. He goes to the 1986 World Cup as well, and in total plays 0 minutes. He's England's first black player, but not England's first black player at a World Cup. More of which in the next episode.
But what I can't figure out about that squad, and still at the time was found puzzling, was the fact that Laurie Cunningham, Cyril Regis, 2 of the best players in the country at the time, and were just not even considered. I just found it remarkable. I just couldn't get my head around it. Particularly Laurie Cunningham, because anybody who saw him play, I'd seen him play, I mean, what a player, what a footballer. He was pure class.
I think we all know why they weren't picked.
Well, yes, I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In the first game for England against France, Brian Robson scores after 27 seconds.
And a great chance for the first goal, and it's there. Brian Robson counts there in the first minute. What a start for England.
FIFA erroneously think it's the fastest World Cup goal of all time it isn't. There was a faster one in 1962. But they give Brian Robson a watch to commemorate it anyway.
Oh,
nice.
Right. Just never worked. What?
It is the first England World Cup goal for 12 years. Who was the last England player to score a World Cup goal before Robson?
That would have been the 3-2 defeat against West Germany. Oh, he scored for him.
Jeff Hurst.
Somebody. It was Jeff Hurst, yes.
Who's from the town next to me, from Ashton-under-Lyne.
Captain Marvel, of course, Brian Robson. He's the most expensive British player at this World Cup. £1.5 million when he moved to your beloved Manchester United.
That's right. I was there the day we signed him. We were playing Wolverhampton Wanderers that day. We beat them 5-0. Sammy McIlroy scored a hat-trick. And I just remember the rumours going around the ground at the time because my dad and his friends were arguing about how much Robson was on because somebody said he was going to get £1,000 a week and they were saying that was disgusting that somebody could earn that much money. And it turns out later he signed for £2,000 a week. That was his first contract, was £2,000 a week. But worth every penny. My favourite United player of all time.
He went into every challenge like it was his last, and then you saw the injuries he had.
That makes it think, that's all he had about his game. He wasn't. He was fantastic. He was a proper engine on him, box to box, beautiful left foot on him, brilliant in the air as well. Just a complete all-rounder. He was amazing. And a big game player. He'd turn up in big games, Brian Robson.
You say that, but in terms of World Cups, in 1986 and 1990, in both of them, he gets injured in the second game. And arguably England play better when he's not there.
Gary Lineker actually reckons that if he hadn't been injured in 1990 World Cup, Lineker reckons that we could have won that tournament if Robbo had stayed fit.
Paul Mariner also scores against France. It is his 6th England goal in 6 consecutive games. Only Jimmy Greaves had done that previously.
Good record. Tony Woodcock. Did he go to Forest to Arsenal?
Woodcock was playing for Cologne. The German team. That's not how they paid him.
And who was Trevor Francis playing for at the time?
Man City.
Yeah, he became a £1 million footballer, didn't he? Again.
The Czechs play Kuwait and Panenka scores a penalty, but it's not a Panenka.
Yes, yeah. I noticed that.
Yeah, isn't that from the 76 European Championships when he does that?
Yeah. Kuwait's equaliser is a thunder bastard.
That's a great goal, that Kuwait goal. It's a scorcher.
The game takes place at the Estadio José Zorrilla in Valladolid, which I'm pretty sure is the first World Cup stadium to be named after a poet.
Oh,
what was his left foot like?
Couldn't find anything to rhyme with it. It's a left foot. It's a deft foot.
I would be bereft foot.
This thing writes itself.
Say poetry's easy.
The France-Kuwait game is very funny because France are winning 3-1. Platini having scored on his birthday, and Jaurès is put through on goal and scores. And the Kuwaitis protest saying that they all stopped because they heard a whistle from the crowd and they thought it was the referee. And the referee goes, "So?" Which is what the rules of football say. But then the general manager of Kuwait, Sheikh Fahd al-Sabah, in all of his robes and everything, shows up on the side of the pitch and orders his players off the pitch. So the Kuwait players just leave. So the referee, Miroslav Stupar, disallows the goal, even though that is not the rules of football.
Wow.
Stupar never refs in the World Cup again. Bossis eventually adds a fourth in the last minute anyway. The manager of Kuwait, who is the Brazilian Carlos Alberto Pereira, is asked about this, and he goes, No, you misunderstood. The Sheikh was telling the players to stay on. And it's like footage of him beckoning them to the touchline.
Yeah.
Panenka also scores another non-Panenka in their last game against France, but it's not enough because England, as you say, Mick, won all their group games. This is the last time that happens. In the England-Czechoslovakia game, Seaman is in goal. That's right, Stanislav Seaman, who's the Czech goalkeeper.
There's a joke there about Seaman ruining a clean sheet, but I can't quite be bothered to do it.
We're better than that. See what happens? The Italian fans don't like it when you say that. Who was the manager of Czechoslovakia in 1982? I'll give you a clue.
I don't know.
He's mentioned in a Half Man, Half Biscuit song. I'll give you a better clue. He went on to manage Aston Villa.
Another guy.
Dr. Joseph Venglos.
Dr. Joseph actually nearly said Dr. Joseph Mengele, yeah.
But just in Venglos in Rock Ferry buying energy drinks. He's defo taking over.
The Czech squad also featured Vladimir Šmiča's father-in-law and Patrick Berger's uncle.
Two separate people, I imagine.
Yes, they are. Ladislav Vicek and Jan Berger. Group 5, Honduras, the hosts, Spain, Yugoslavia and Northern Ireland. We talked about Norman Whiteside becoming the youngest player in World Cup history. There's something else significant about that game. It takes place at La Romareda in Zaragoza, which is the home of Europe's deepest goal nets.
Okay.
What?
I would have thought that would be regulated. There's supposed to be a depth that goal nets are.
Nope.
Yeah, weird.
Right.
So they just go back 20 yards.
Yeah, just keep going.
Goes way into the way end. Yeah.
The hosts go behind after 8 minutes to Honduras. Hector Zelaya, Pecho de Aguirre, Eagle Chest, scores the first ever Honduran goal at a World Cup. He'd go on to be a kids' TV presenter.
Jeez.
Welcome to the Eagle's Nest with me, Eagle's Chest. It's like that, is it?
Let's gunge someone. Spain need a second-half penalty to draw. It's scored by Moroccan-born Roberto Lopez Ufarte.
Nothing there?
Right. There's nothing funny about that.
They also go behind against Yugoslavia. Ivan Gudelj scores the goal for Yugoslavia. And in the 90s, he would go on to manage the Croatian Priests national team.
Oh,
Wow.
yes, please.
And who's their most famous three players? The Holy Trinity. And they've got to be good at crosses, haven't they?
Yeah, ghosting in at the back post.
Half-time cup of wine.
If anyone gets injured, 3 days later, they're fine.
Yeah.
Spain come back to win 2-1, though, including a penalty given by Henning Lund Sorensen for a foul that was 5 metres outside the penalty area. And when it was initially saved, the referee said, have it again. Eventually scored by Juanito, Spanish centre-forward. He said, playing for Real Madrid is like touching the sky. In 1978, he'd been suspended from European competition for 2 years for assaulting the referee, and he would be again in 1987 for 4 years for stamping on Lothar Matthäus's face.
Oh,
He did have one of them faces, though, that you'd stamp on.
It's quite a big flat face, isn't it?
Yeah. He probably got smacked quite a lot, I reckon.
Juanito dies in a car accident in 1992. The Real Ultras chant his name in the 7th minute of every home match. Northern Ireland draw with Honduras. Some nicknames in the Honduran team. Alan Costley, Cochero, the coachman. He's Carlos Costley's dad. Ramon Maradiaga, nicknamed Primitivo. Roberto Bailey.
A delicious kind of wine, is that?
Perhaps. Roberto Bailey, nicknamed El Robot. Gilberto Yearwood, El Vikingo. Because
That's lazy.
He's a tall black man. So, just like a Viking. There's the brilliantly named Porfirio Betancourt, whose name is an anagram of Turbo Pie Fornicator.
James, is everything all right at home?
No. And their third choice goalkeeper is called Jimmy Stewart, who kept out other goalkeepers Cary Grant, Humphrey Bogart, and Spencer Trady. Yugoslavia need an 88th minute penalty to beat Honduras, meaning that Northern Ireland need a win or a high-scoring draw against Spain to qualify.
Spain. Brilliant game.
Jerry Armstrong gives them the lead early in the second half from across from Billy Hamilton, who invents the board game Billy Hamilton's Football Academy, currently on eBay for 75 quid.
What?
And with a board game geek rating of 3 out of 10.
Still Billy Hamilton, he's got past Tendilio. And Armstrong! Northern Ireland have scored through Jerry Armstrong.
I think it was that goal Jerry Armstrong scored. It got him a move to Spain.
Was it Sociedad?
Yes, I think it was Sociedad.
Like
Ended with quite a long career over there. He went on to commentate on Spanish football.
It's a classic rearguard action game, that is, from Northern Ireland.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
And what does Mal Donaghy do in this game that no
gets
British
sent
player
off.
had done before? That's right, he's the first British player to be sent off in a World Cup. They held on to win as group winners. Yugoslavian squad features Nikola Jovanovic. Who's he, Mick?
Weird Al Yankovic.
No, not Weird Al Yankovic. Nikola Jovanovic. 1980, he was the first overseas player to join Manchester United.
Was he? I have no recollection of him at all.
George Best clearly not overseas, despite the fact he travelled from overseas.
Yes.
Stop being so pedantic.
No, I'm not. I'm just making sure that, because otherwise we get tweets.
First player from outside the British Isles, then.
Yeah.
He played 21 games and scored 4 goals. No?
I've no recollection of him at all whatsoever. I'm going to be Googling him afterwards.
Into Group 6, it's Brazil, New Zealand, Scotland, and the USSR. USSR score against Brazil. To start, ball goes straight through the goalkeeper, but Socrates and Eder both score absolute belters.
They're unbelievable, them goals.
Scotland are 3-0 up against New Zealand at half-time. 2 from John Walk.
Previously of Ipswich. And
and the Allies
Liverpool.
team in Escape to Victory.
Yes.
The Allies, yes, yeah.
He has one line in that movie, and they had to dub it because no one could understand his accent. And are we going to talk about the fact that he looks like the leather man from The Village People?
Oh, he had a great tash.
Then Steve's Sumner and Steve Woodin become the first Oceania players to score in a World Cup, but Scotland add another 2. One from a free kick from John Robertson after 2 Scottish players sort of push each other out of the way in a ridiculous bit of, I don't know if it was planned in the training ground, let's do some slapstick to put the defence on. Do you want to hear what Brian Clough said about John Robertson?
Yeah.
Go on.
He's always good for a quote.
John Robertson was a very unattractive young man. If one day I felt a bit off colour, I would sit next to him. I was bloody Errol Flynn in comparison. But give him a ball and a yard of grass and he was an artist. The Picasso of our game.
My memory of him is one of the slowest wingers I had ever saw, but his crossing ability was unbelievable, and he always seemed to find the yard of space to get a ball out of his feet to get it into the back. And he was famously always looked like he was overweight.
Well, Scotland have scored 5 goals and they've won a game, so nothing can go wrong now. Up next, Brazil.
Neri scores a worldie.
It's either a wonderful right foot shot which no goalkeeper in the world would have stopped, according to the Glasgow Herald, or a toe poke, according to Jimmy Hill.
He puts his boot through it. That's what he does.
Unfortunately, it happens quite early in the game, and it does make Brazil angry.
Did it finish 4-1 to Brazil?
That's correct, yeah. 4-1. Eder scores. He's nicknamed the Cannon. Apparently, he could strike the ball at 108 miles an hour. He didn't go to the 1986 World Cup because during a warm-up game, he pushed a ball boy and was sent off. He was very fond of a cold drink and had run-ins with pretty much everyone he ever met.
I mean, Socrates was a legendary 40-day smoker and liked to drink, basically, every day, apparently. Yeah.
And was also a medical doctor, so that's fine.
That's right.
There is the rumour that that Socrates played for Dublin's Trinity University's medical team when he was doing his doctoring training, but apparently that is also bullshit.
Oh,
yeah.
They've said it for years. It's one of the great. Socrates turned out for us, and there's no proof of it whatsoever,
yes,
which is a shame. Well, I'm quite happy to re-record this bit and say he defo did.
I've got a fun stat about the Brazil-Scotland game.
Oh, yes, please.
It's the only game at this World Cup that Alan Brazil doesn't play for Scotland in.
That's fantastic.
They pick Alan Brazil against everyone who isn't Brazil. Presumably they thought he'd be like some kind of spy.
And is Alan the footballer Brazilian?
Yes, he plays for Everton.
Is he Brazilian?
I think he's Brazilian, yeah, and he's called Alan.
He is, he's Brazilian. Yes.
Yes. There are 5 Brazilian footballers called Alan, which is enough for a boy band.
Or enough for one Alan Brazil, because he is quite a large gentleman.
I remember him co-commentating on a game. It was, I think it was just before the championship became a championship, so it would have been what they called it, Division 1, Division 2, or whatever at the time. And a player had to go off because he took a boot to the face. I can't remember who it was he was playing, and he was spitting blood. And Alan Brazil's going, the players are soft these days. They should be kept on the pitch and all this. You know. Then we find out after the game that the guy had to have something like 160 stitches in the inside of his mouth to re-stitch it all together.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, ridiculous. But
the game's gone soft, hasn't it?
Yeah. But Alan Brazil's face got redder and redder the older he got. He's got the reddest face you've ever seen on a human being. He played for United for a spell as well.
Brazil and the Soviet Union also beat New Zealand because they're not very good.
Yeah.
One of the Soviet goals is scored by Sergei Baltaka, who is the father of British tennis player Elena Baltaka.
That Russian kit was great with a CCCP on the front.
Oh,
the
yeah.
White,
I love that. It looks great.
The white one is the best one. It's superb.
All of this means Scotland just need to beat the Soviet Union to qualify. That's all they have to do. And they take an early lead through Joe Jordan, scoring in his 3rd World Cup. But it ends 2-2. The second Soviet Union goal happens after Alan Hansen and Willie Miller run into each other like two of the leading Keystone cops.
They had such a good side, Scotland.
They're out on goal difference. Basically, if they'd kept a clean sheet against New Zealand, they would be through. Willie Miller. What do you think his autobiography's called?
Wee Willie. He was captain of Aberdeen at the time.
It's got the same name as a classic book. Well, actually, not a classic book. The same name as a bit of a classic book.
The Gospel According to Willie Miller?
No, The Miller's Tale.
Oh, nice.
This is the only time Alan Hansen plays in the World Cup. He doesn't go to 1986, even though he's just won the double with Liverpool.
Because
Alex Ferguson didn't like him.
Alex Ferguson's accused him of actually feigning injury, so he couldn't go because he didn't think that Kenny Dalglish was going. So he feigned injury so he could get out of it.
He could have played for another national
one of the
team.
rumours. Could he?
Yeah.
Denmark or Sweden?
Yes, Denmark. His granddad's from Denmark, so he could have played for them.
Alan Hansen and Mark Lawrenson have houses across from each other. And on Mark Lawrenson's wedding night, he went to the pub that Mark Lawrenson owned, and then Mark Lawrenson made his wife work behind the bar because they were busy.
Romantic. It's the last appearance at a World Cup of Kenny Dalglish as well. Apparently he has a terrific sense of humour, but no one has any evidence of that.
One of my favourite quotes is from Brian Clough when he was talking about why Kenny Dalglish was so good. And he said, he's got a terrific arse. It goes down below his knees and that's where he gets his power from. He was very good for a quote, wasn't he, Brian Clough?
It's the last World Cup appearance for Joe Jordan as well, nicknamed Jaws, and in Italy nicknamed Lo Squalo, the shark.
Yeah, he used to take his teeth out before he played. His front teeth when he was at United. I saw him punch a guy. I can't remember who it was, and he knocked him out. He was a hard bastard.
Nikola Jovanovic, was it, by any chance? Then into round 2, where there are yet more groups, but groups of 3. Some of the groups, nothing much happens in. For example, Belgium, Poland, USSR. Boniek scores a hat-trick, and that beats Belgium 3-0. They've replaced Faf with Theo Custers, who is nicknamed the Walrus.
They nicknamed him the Last Stand or something. That would be if he's a goalkeeper called Custers. Come on.
Boniek was nicknamed by the president of Juventus, Bello Di Notte.
The Night Beauty.
Do you know what? Do you know what I like about you?
Footballer.
You're beautiful at night.
At night, yeah.
When it's dark, you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. 2 footballers are named after him. Boniek Garcia of Honduras, who played in 2 World Cups, 2010, 2014, and Boniek Forbes, a winger from Guinea-Bissau who plays for Cheshunt in the National League South. The only other goal in this 3-team group was scored by Koran Oganessian for the Soviets against Belgium, the only Armenian to score at a World Cup, which means that Poland are through to the semi-finals. The Soviet squad also included Vitaly Daraselia. In 1978, his Dynamo Tbilisi team were playing Napoli in a European game, and his wife was pregnant. He said he'd name his child after whoever scored.
I can see this backfiring.
Where do you think this is going?
The other team scored and he had to name it after someone on the other team?
No. It's whoever scored for his team. And he scored.
Right.
So named his son after himself.
Yeah, like George Foreman named all his kids after himself.
George Foreman was like, whoever punches the most in this fight, I'll name my kid after them.
Yeah, he's got 5 sons named George Foreman, I think.
And a girl called George as well, I think.
And then one other son called Muhammad Ali, but we don't talk about him. Vitaly Daraselia died in a car accident in December of 1982.
Oh.
His car fell off a cliff into a river. His body was carried away and was discovered 13 days later buried in sand.
Bloody hell.
He was very much the Howard Hamlin of the Soviet team. Group B. What a group this is. England, Spain, West Germany.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Yeah, the good news is England don't concede.
Yes, but don't score.
Yeah, they don't score. That's very much the bad news.
For someone who watched it at the time, did it look like they were going to score?
The West Germany game, I don't remember. I remember it being quite a bit of a dull affair, actually. And the game against Spain, we were the better team, and we were searching. We knew we needed a goal. I mean, they threw on Kevin Keegan and Trevor Brooking, who were clearly unfit. It's one of those matches you're the better team, but you've not created anything. Do you understand what I mean? There wasn't really anything that stood out. You go, it's near misses or hitting the woodwork.
If it had just been an inch and off the puck,
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, there were two very frustrating games to watch, actually. In fact, that was quite a dull group.
The kind of second round format here doesn't really work.
No, not at all.
So that's why they abandon it. Keegan has a header against Spain that arguably a fitter in-form Keegan would have scored, but he's neither of those things, so he misses. What is Kevin Keegan's real first name?
John.
Stewart.
It's Joseph. He is the twice Ballon d'Or winner. Flyby have a plane named after him. It goes from Gatwick to Newcastle.
Oh, I was expecting it to be it goes from Liverpool to Hamburg, because that would make sense, but like...
Yeah.
No, that one's named after the Beatles. He released two singles, It Ain't Easy in 1972 and Head Over Heels in Love in 1979.
And it looks like I'm falling all over again. Head over heels in love with you.
It got to number 31 in the UK, but got to number 10 in Germany, where it was kept off the top by 9 singles by David Hasselhoff.
I think it was nicknamed, was he called Mighty Mouse in the German press? Was that his nickname? Yeah.
That's correct, yeah.
When he first went over there, he was a big transfer to Hamburg, and then all the Hamburg players, because he pushed out one of their mates, they refused to pass to him for ages. It took 6 months of him trying to learn German and fit in, and then one of the German players got a perm, and he was like, "All right, I'm making an impression on them." But they genuinely, that's when he knew they'd sort of warmed to him a bit, is when one of them got a perm.
Trevor Brooking had 3 nicknames that I know of. Cyril, after carpet salesman Cyril Lord, because he was always on the floor. Boog, after the slow baseball player Boog Powell. And Hadley, after the Urbane TV detective.
Oh, wow. I'd have called him Creosotes because he was just always on the fence. As a pundit, he never had an opinion about anything. He was boring as hell as a pundit. Fantastic footballer.
Also in the England squad, for some reason, Steve Foster, the headband-wearing
from
Brighton centre-half.
Yeah.
Steve Coppell.
Or Stevie Coppell, as he's really correctly known. Stevie. One of the rare footballers to have a degree at the time, a university degree.
He went to school with Les Dennis and Clive Barker, the horror author. England have conceded 1 goal and not been beaten, which is exactly the same as Scotland in 1974. And just like Scotland, they're out.
Yeah.
In the Spanish squad, Xabi Alonso's dad, their goalkeeper, Luis Arcanada, is nicknamed El Pulpo, which means
the octopus.
You're right. And their forward, Quinny, not Niall or Mick, just Quinny, legendary goalscorer for Barcelona. In March of 1981, he was kidnapped at gunpoint after a game and rescued unharmed 25 days later, during which time Barca got 1 point from 4 games and effectively lost the title.
Bloody hell.
Oh.
He never pressed charges, which just made everyone think he had Stockholm syndrome.
Or a nice bet on the out.
There's a Colombian cyclist who was big in the 80s, and he got kidnapped in about 1990. So they kidnapped one before and murdered him, and he was really worried about it. And they kidnapped him and just forced him for 5 hours to tell him about all of his greatest victories, and then gave him back unharmed.
I hope he was a good storyteller, because you can imagine halfway through he's been boring there.
This wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should take a
boring.
finger. Group D, France, Austria, Northern Ireland. France beat Austria. Austria draw 2-2 with Northern Ireland. This means Northern Ireland need a win against France to qualify. Martin O'Neill has a goal wrongfully disallowed at 0-0.
Yes, I remember that.
Martin O'Neill, you're saying about Steve Coppell having a degree. Martin O'Neill started a criminology degree, but then didn't finish it.
Oh, bless.
But France show up, they win 4-1, 2 goals each from Alain Giresse and Dominique Rocheteau. The Northern Ireland squad features Sammy Nelson, whose son-in-law is Matt Pryor, the England wicketkeeper. They also had Johnny Jameson, a midfielder who never got capped because he refused to play on Sundays. Felix Healy, a qualified butcher and part-time club singer who has starred in productions of Grease and Jesus Christ Superstar.
Jesus Christ, superstar.
Jimmy Nicol and David McCreary, who both played in North America. Jimmy Nicol played for the Toronto Blizzard. David McCreary played for the Tulsa Roughnecks.
They both played for United as well, them two.
So France are through from that group. In Group C, though, this is where the action is. All the fun of the second round is in these three games. It's Argentina, Brazil, and Italy. Italy play Argentina, and Italy win 2-1. This is the game where Gentile just basically follows Maradona around kicking in.
It's a horror show, but also, I know it sounds daft, but there's something also quite admirable. I mean, that's... Gentile was a beast of a player. He was unbelievably dirty on and off the ball. Just wouldn't be accepted this day and age, but was then.
Someone rips Ozzy Ardiles' shirt as well during the game. In the Argentina-Brazil game, Maradona is sent off.
Yeah.
Because he just has had enough of people kicking him and he lashes out. Brazil's second goal is scored by Serginho, who had missed 1978 because he'd been banned for 14 months for assaulting a linesman. Brazil's third goal is scored by Junior, who is nicknamed Capacetti, which means helmet.
Oh.
Yeah, that
because his hair looks like a helmet.
Yeah, that's what they told him. Your hair looks like a helmet, mate. That's what we're calling you.
So this means Argentina are out. Ozzy Ardiles, who Chaz and Dave sang about a lot.
Ozzy's got to Wembley, his knees have gone all trembly.
He's wearing the number 1 shirt.
It was a weird quirk of Argentina. They did their shirts alphabetically that year.
Who is he playing for at the time?
Presumably Tottenham.
Nope.
He's not playing in the cup for Tottenham.
In the cup for Tottenham.
No. They loaned him out to Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh, is he playing
for money because they couldn't afford to pay him?
No, it's because of the Falklands Wars going on.
Oh, right.
Yes, that's right.
Ramon Diaz, nicknamed El Pelado.
Chicken something?
No, it means
chicken legs.
I think it means baldy, apparently. Went on to manage Oxford United. And so to Brazil, Italy. De facto quarterfinal. Brazil need to draw. Italy need to win. Paolo Rossi has not scored in 4 games. What do you remember about this game, Mick?
Well, the Paolo Rossi hat-trick. Does Socrates score both for their goals for Brazil?
He scores the first one.
Socrates is in here. It's there! Socrates!
Who scored the second one for...
Falcao.
Falcao went on to have a hit with Rock Me Amadeus. Just a few years later. It was an astounding game. It wasn't really roughhouse tactics from Italy at that time. Brazil were fantastically open, but that was the problem. Rossi was just an absolute predator in the penalty area.
And it's been turned in. Paolo Rossi was there again. Unbelievable. It's 3-2 to Italy.
I don't think he scored a goal from further out than 8 yards, actually, in the tournament. He didn't seem like he did. The amount of times Italy caught Brazil on the break or just by getting behind the fullbacks, because the Brazilian fullbacks, as you know, aren't fullbacks, are they? They're all strikers. It was just a fast and furious game. At the time, it's never seen a game of football like it. It's on a different level.
Jonathan Wilson, the football tactics guy, said it was probably the best World Cup game ever played. Socrates would go on to play 1 game for Garforth Town against Tadcaster Albion when he was 50.
Nice.
Brilliant.
You mentioned him being a heavy drinker and smoker. He was also married 4 times.
He was quite the lad.
That's a man of many appetites.
Well, yeah, and also as well, he must be one of the oldest men in the world ever because he founded Greek philosophy as well, and then went on to be a fantastic football. But he was an unbelievable languid presence on the pitch, and his touch was phenomenal, and his close control was phenomenal. And he probably was the unfittest player as well, but it didn't matter because the team he had around him at the time, because Zico was one of the best players I'd ever seen at the time. Famous number 10. Falcao was good. Adair, who's been mentioned a few times, was phenomenal. But yeah, Italy, they were lucky to get through the first group, and that was a game where it seemed they were switched on from then on. That was it.
Falcao, he's known as the 8th king of Rome because he played for Roma. And after this game, he was considering giving up football because it really, really affected him, this defeat.
Really?
He didn't, though. He went on to play more for Roma. Just before the end, Giancarlo Antonioni has a goal wrongfully disallowed, which would have made it 4-2. Antonioni, in 1981, collided with Genoa's goalkeeper, fractured his skull, and went into a 2-day coma. That was the year before this.
Yeah.
And he's playing the World Cup. And then right at the end, Dino Zoff saves from Oscar, which makes him grouchy. Into the semi-finals. Poland are without the suspended Boniek.
Yes.
Italy are missing the suspended Gentile, who spent all of the game against Brazil kicking Zico. But Rossi is now confident he scores both Italy's goals as they win 2-0.
Quite a straightforward victory.
Yes,
I
much more straightforward than the other semi-final between West Germany and France.
Now
Hell of a game, that.
Oh, this is a game. One of the maddest games I've ever seen.
It's like when you go, oh, you couldn't write it. If you were writing a football match, this is what you'd be, because it is all over the place, back and forth.
I think France blew this game. They should have won this game easily and seemed to take the foot off the gas for a spell.
It's 1-1 at half-time. France have brought on Battiston as a substitute, and he runs onto a through ball, and Harald Schumacher, the German goalkeeper, just basically assaults him.
Yes.
He jumps in the air and throws his arse straight into his face, but like his hip bone, and knocks him clean out.
Just wonder what the referee thought about the challenge from Schumacher on Battiston. It certainly looked a wild jump.
And it's horrifying.
It's terrible.
Did something mad, like he broke his jaw or something? Or like not
He broke his jaw. He had damaged vertebrae as well, I think, as a result of it.
He has 3 cracked vertebrae, loses 2 teeth, and suffers concussion. No free kick, no card. Absolute disgrace.
And what was the reasoning for that?
The referee and the linesman just didn't see it like that. I think the referee's behind play, so you're relying on your linesman. So maybe from the referee's point of view, it looks like just a collision rather than assault, because it was assault.
The referee is Charles Curver of the Netherlands, who works as a sales manager for Heineken.
Oh, he's pissed. That's why he didn't see it. There.
Michel Platini thought that Battiston had been killed.
I remember the image of it. His arms are all twisted where he's lying, and it's awful.
Battiston does recover, and he's part of the Euro winning team in 1984. He plays until 1991 professionally. Schumacher is told that Battiston has lost 2 teeth and says, if that's all that's wrong, tell him I'll pay for the crowns.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh, just you wait. A French newspaper run a poll to find the least popular man in France. Hitler comes second.
Yeah.
But crucially, it means that France have to prematurely use their second substitute.
Oh, because there's only 2 subs.
Yeah, and Battiston was their first. And in extra time, it looks like justice is being done because France go 3-1 up. But Germany bring on a substitute.
2.
Rummenigge.
Yeah.
He comes on in the 97th minute in extra time. He scores 1 and then they equalise.
Why did Rummenigge not start that game? Was he injured or was he carrying a knock? Oh.
He was carrying a knock in the latter half of this World Cup.
Right.
One of the goals in that is quite something. The over-the-shoulder sort of bicycle kick type thing.
The German one or the French one?
The German one.
Yes, Klaus Fischer. He was known for his bicycle kicks. He scores one against Switzerland. He's voted goal of the century on German TV. But for the first time in World Cup finals history, there will be a penalty shootout.
Penalty shootout, yeah.
The first player to not score in a penalty shootout is Uli Steilecker. No, it's Uli Steilecker of Germany. Yes, that's right. Germany miss the first penalty to be missed in a penalty shootout.
Yeah.
No German has missed a penalty in a World Cup penalty shootout since.
Joking. Wow.
Evil, worse than Hitler Schumacher, saves from Didier Sis and from Bossis, who just doesn't know how to react when he misses and sort of just squats in the penalty area for a bit. And the Germans are in the final. Harald Schumacher releases an autobiography in 1987 called Kick-Off. He alleges that there was substance abuse in the German squad and consequently is excluded from the national team. He also suggests that comfort women were provided to board players at major tournaments.
Bloody hell.
See, now I can believe that. I reckon that.
So is that what we're saying? Who was the Belgian player that was caught with his wife in the room? Faf. To say, oh yeah, there was comfort women, but they were all Thingy's wife.
Oh. Didier Sis would go on to play 15 times for Aston Villa in the mid-80s, scoring twice. If I ever had a band, I would call them the Didier Sis. Yeah.
I just like to call him Didier 6. It sounds like a freedom group, the Didier 6.
Free the Didier 6.
In the third place playoff, Poland score 3 in 5 minutes either side of half-time as they win 3-2. And that matches their best ever World Cup finish. France are just knackered after the semi, so they're not really that bothered.
Yeah.
So, on to the final, which is taking place at the Santiago Bernabéu in Madrid. Santiago Bernabéu was a former footballer, president of Real Madrid, fascist and racist.
No way.
He wouldn't sign Eusebio because he was black. He also said that they would not sign any white players who had moustaches.
Wow.
So bad luck, John Wall.
Graham Souness.
None of us three would be allowed.
In this final, Arnaldo Cesar Coelho becomes the first non-European to referee a World Cup final. And he gives Italy a penalty in the first half, but Antonio Cabrini becomes the first player to miss a World Cup final penalty. It is a terrible penalty. He kicks the spot.
Yes.
You can see the paint fly up.
Under the spotlight, that's panic. He'd probably never do that ever again in a game.
And in 2008, he would appear on L'Isola de Formassi, basically Italian Celebrity Survivor.
Oh, nice.
Bloody hell.
But he walked off the show in disgust. Hopefully they just kept going on about the penalty.
Yeah.
At halftime, it's 0-0. But apparently there's trouble in the German dressing room because Rummenigge has started and is clearly not fit. So it's all kicking off in there. Apparently Rummenigge tells one of the other players to hit him, like Fight Club in there, I hope. The game comes to life in the second half. Paolo Rossi scores his 6th goal of the World Cup. He has scored Italy's last 6 goals.
Yeah.
And then Tardelli scores and just lets it all out.
Oh, yeah, there's that great celebration. Yeah. He looks like he's been running while being electrocuted.
Tardelli said about it, after I scored, my whole life passed before me. The same feeling they say you have when you are about to die. The joy of scoring in a World Cup final was immense, something I dreamed about as a kid, and my celebration was a release after realising that dream. I was born with that scream inside me. That was just the moment it came out.
Oh, yes, please.
Oh, wow.
I like that. Makes me want to try and score in a World Cup final. Sounds nice.
I think we should all have the opportunity to score in a World Cup final.
Yeah. One each.
I think it's only right.
We live in a snowflake and woke world, they keep telling us, so well, let us all play in a World Cup final then.
Exactly.
Altobelli gets the 3rd, as we mentioned earlier, and then he becomes the first substitute to be subbed off in a World Cup final. He came on in like the 6th minute, so it's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Consolation goal for Germany. Who's that scored by, Paul Savage?
It's Breitner.
Bright eyes, burning like fire.
But Italy have won.
For the first time since...
With 38. Dino Zoff, captain, is he the oldest player ever to lift the World Cup?
Yeah, he was 40.
He was the oldest player at this World Cup as well. His autobiography is called Dura solo un attimo la gloria, which means glory only lasts a moment.
Oh, that's deep, isn't it? But, you know, when you hear all these stories about these continental players, as we call them, they all seem so classy. And I think you compare them to like our footballers' autobiographies. There's a big difference, isn't there?
There really is.
It's like they've had some sort of education.
Italy 1982 have the fewest percentage wins of any World Cup winner ever. They won 4 out of their 7 games. They drew the other 3.
Wow.
But they won the crucial ones, the ones that matters.
Yeah, that's like I said, it seemed to switch on from that game against Brazil. I remember at the time, this is Italy turned up now.
France and West Germany had both lost their opening games of the World Cup and ended up in the semi-finals. Poland had drawn the first 2 games of their World Coup as well. This is a semi-finals of teams coming to the boil at the right moment.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
The opposite of what England did. Just mention a couple of the players in some of the in the squads here. The West German squad had Wilfried Hannes. He was an unused defender. He was blind in one eye.
Oh, wow.
He should have been playing for it. It was the Peruvian that was the blind man.
Yeah.
or the Chilean player, yeah.
They had a player called Holger Hieronymus. It's just a really good name.
What a fantastic name, yeah.
And their sub-goalkeeper, Ike Immel, went on to play for Manchester City.
That's right.
And in 2008 was in Ich bin ein Star, holt mich heraus, which is German, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
Oh, right. Wow, that sounds a lot more aggressive.
He came 5th and got 4 stars in the Terror Tunnel Bush Tucker trial.
Right.
In the Italy squad, we should talk about Claudio Gentile.
Yeah.
He's got a first. First African-born World Cup winner.
Really?
Born in Tripoli. Once said, football is not for ballerinas.
Right.
All right.
Okay. He wants to eat meat then. Or is he getting confused between fakirs and warriors and mums?
Gaetano Sciria, who was like their sweeper, The ultra stand at Stadio dell'Alpi is named after him. He died in 1989 when his car collided with a truck in Poland and exploded. There were 4 petrol canisters in the boot.
Was he smuggling petrol?
There's a lot of these that now start to sound suspicious.
Italy's victory inspires the group Master to release a cover version of Da Da Da, but with the names of Italian players in the lyrics.
El chiquito dinosaur. Muy gentil el defensor.
The Golden Boot winner is Paolo Rossi with 6 goals. He always claimed to be innocent, but had been banned for 3 years, reduced to 2, for his part in the Totonera betting scandal. During his ban, he released a single called Domenica alle 3, Sunday at 3.
Quando pensi a me, io pure penso a te.
And if the Italian FA had ever heard it, they would have increased his ban. Like Kempes in 78, he does not score in the first round. He was described as a ghost aimlessly wandering over the field, with his first goals coming in the 5th game. He won the Ballon d'Or in 1982. He died in 2020, and during his funeral, his house was robbed.
Oh.
It's time now to work out our score for the World Cup of Spain 1982. In our leaderboard of the World Cup of World Cups. The current leader is 1966 England with 7.67. We've got 12 categories. You give it a score out of 10. Spain as hosts.
Full stadiums. It looked like it was fun.
We've got the new format with the second round groups thing.
It was a disaster.
I like the penalty shootouts.
Technically, penalty shootouts were available since 1974 then. God, on fun. Controversy.
Loads. Attempted murder.
Yes. An affair. The Germany-Austria game, it was packed full of it.
England winning the group cancer and then not doing anything.
Not a shock.
Not a shock.
No,
Scotland
not
not getting out of the groups, not a shock.
Northern Ireland beating Spain, shock. Italy beating Brazil was a shock.
Game of the tournament, that's Italy-Brazil, isn't it?
It's a 10 out of 10.
Okay. Goal of the tournament, what do you think?
It just depends what kind of goals you like, because there's a load of ones from outside the area. There's a couple of beautiful bicycle kicks. There's one where he takes it round the keeper, if you like one of those.
There's no one definitive, this is the best goal of this tournament. The final.
The only thing that stops it being great is that the Germans weren't quite as competitive as you'd hope.
I remember at the time, everybody wanted Italy to win that game.
It's only the fact that they really started slow with 3 draws and some of them goalless that means it's not like a really high score.
They beat Argentina, Brazil and West Germany.
I don't think there's anything unworthy about winning a World Cup at all. I mean, you are the best team in the tournament. That's the format, isn't it?
Yeah,
they started off slowly, but if you look at the tournament since then, Germany do the same. They always play what they call it, playing themselves into tournaments, and it's that classic style of doing it.
Well, I think it made stars of so many of those players. I know Maradona had just become the world's most expensive footballer, but that was a showcase for him when you didn't see a lot of European football.
Cultural impact, I think it was massive because of African nations being in there, nation from the Middle East, the way it had been opened up for the first time.
I'm docking it a point for the Cranky single.
Right.
And finally, entertainment value. I've got some stats for you on this. There were 2.81 goals per game, which is the 8th highest in World Cup history, and it will never be this high again. There are 7 0-0s, which is the joint top amount of 0-0s, 9 1-0s, the most so far, and no dead rubbers. The scores are in, and I can reveal that the score for the 1982 World Cup in Spain is 7.47, which puts it in 3rd place in our leaderboard, behind England and 1970 Mexico.
Hey, have you done that right?
Yep.
What's the bits it's lost down on?
Innovations, the final, British involvement were the lowest scoring categories, 7.47. Are you upset that it wasn't higher?
No, I'm just interested.
Well, I am. Yeah, I'm massively upset. No, I'm not having it. not having it.
Before we go, just a couple of things. First of all, a teaser for you all to think about until the next episode. We mentioned that Claudio Gentile was the first African-born World Cup winner. There have been 4 since. Who are they? We'll give you the answer to that at the start of the next episode when, well, Colombia are hosting the 1986 World Cup. So presumably we'll see you there. There'll be the return of the knockouts. There'll be big waves, but one hand making a bigger impact than the others. A bandaged armed goal scorer, the world's most expensive shirt, and a six-fingered man. As the World Cup of World Cups continues in our next episode. Mick Ferry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for asking me to do this, and I'm devastated about the score. I think it's wrong.
Where can people find you, Mick?
Sulking.
We'll get VAR on it.
But I think VAR should be involved. Yeah, it's scandalous. 82 is the greatest World Cup ever, and nobody can change my mind on that. 1990 comes close.
Well, that's a whole other debate. If you want to email us, you can worldcupofworldcups@gmail.com. You can support us, ko-fi.com/worldcupofworldcups. I'm on Twitter @James E. Cook.
I'm @Comedy Savage.
Mick Ferry.
Thanks so much for downloading. Please tell all your friends. Until next time, adios.